Hello, Craig Howard here. Happy to spend another morning with you. You know, I came across a thought and sort of a revelation. It's not always the strongest or the fastest or the smartest that win. You say, well, that's, sort of the old tortoise and the hare kind of thing. Well, maybe, but I had it revealed to me in a little different way this morning. I was reading some articles and I ran across a story about a woman who had been changing her tire on the side of the road and the jack kicked and the car came down and trapped her hands between the tire and the fender of the car, and she couldn't get them out. Her hands were literally crushed in there somehow. And she was stuck there. And she was in a remote area. She was in a place where no cars were coming by to see that she was stuck. And so she somehow managed to get her phone out of her purse, which was sitting next to her with her. She kicked off her shoes, used her feet to get her phone out of her purse, and then with her toes dialed 911 and called the rescue department, and they came and used the jaws of life to lift the car off of her hands and free her hands and get her to the hospital. But it made me think about something. You know, it's it's possible to overcome if we'll just hang in there, if we'll just persevere, if we'll just keep trying. Eventually we can overcome. I read a couple of scriptures this morning. The Bible says in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction. Now, affliction is usually the time where we're the least patient. It's usually the time where we lose our patience. When we're going through affliction, when we're going through difficulty, when we're going through pain, that's the time we have the least amount of patience. And the Bible tells us, be patient in affliction and at the same time, faithful in prayer. You know, it's not always enough just to be patient. Sometimes we literally have to sometimes we literally have to just take the time to go to God and say, God, I'm going through a tough time right now. I need some help. I was reading another passage that just kind of, I don't think I had ever read it before. It never came to me in this way before, but it's found in Ecclesiastes chapter 9. And the writer of Ecclesiastes was Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived. And it says in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, beginning in verse 11, he says, I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, nor wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all. In other words, he's saying, you may not be the wealthiest, you may not be the smartest, you may not be the strongest or the fastest. He says that doesn't matter. What matters is that you're patient. What matters is that you keep moving forward. What matters is that you keep trying. I talked to a man day before yesterday, I believe it was, and he had been going through a really difficult time. He had lost his family. He had lost his job. He had lost his home. He was in a desperate situation. And I was helping him get into some temporary housing and making arrangements for him to get some job training and a possible job and so forth. And he said, the hardest thing to do when enough bad stuff happens to you, the hardest thing to do is to keep trying, because you just feel like, what's the use? I've been knocked down over and over and over. There's no point. But after talking for a while, he finally said, what I really needed, and he said, I thank you for it. He said, what I really needed was just a swift kick in the rear end to get moving again. He said, I'm not going to get anywhere if I don't try, if I don't keep trying. It's hard. Once you've been knocked down enough times, once enough bad things have happened to you, it's hard to be patient. It's hard to persevere. It's hard to keep moving forward. It's hard to keep trying. But the Bible tells us over and over and over and over again, if we will, and if we'll trust in the Lord, and if we'll put our trust in Him, and if we'll put ourselves under His control, and if we'll allow Him to be our guide and allow Him to be our strength, that in the end, over time, we will persevere. Well, I'm sure my time is gone. 5 minutes blows by so fast, and I usually end up looking at 6 or 7 minutes before I get myself stopped. So I'm going to stop. I've already gone about 5.5 minutes, but I want to say this to you. If you're going through a bad time right now, don't just throw in the towel. Don't just give up. God is there with you, and He'll give you the strength and the guidance and the help that you need. Doesn't matter that you look around and you see somebody else who is stronger, faster, smarter, wealthier, or whatever, and it seems like they always get the breaks. You just keep going. You just keep moving forward, trusting in the Lord. And it'll work out in the end. It'll come around. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day today. I just want to trust that you're going to receive all kinds of blessings today. And I will talk to you, Lord willing, on Monday. God bless you.